They told us to give a disclaimer. The views expressed on this podcast are those of the podcasters, any guests, and do not reflect any of the management, owners, sponsorships, or employees of thereof. Pretty much, if you're soft, don't listen to this podcast. One thing I pride myself on is just being the same and trying to look out for my folks along the way.
Like, even with all these, big things happening, like, you still mad humble, and you still, like, you have enough clout now where you could easily be like, I'm not fucking with this, I'm not fucking with that.
Oh yeah, motherfuckers, it's on. Welcome to the Unrestricted Podcast. I am your host, DreRawka, and I got a very special guest in the studio right now. We just got back from Idaho. My man, Zack Patridge. How you doing, bro?
Good, how you doing?
I am great. Just make sure you're right up on that mic, bro.
I got you.
Yeah. Father.
Yep.
Husband.
Yep.
Fierce Fighting Championship.
Yep.
Damage Plan MMA podcast. Kinda.
That's
hiatus.
That's taking a good break. Man, I don't have time. I don't have time for that podcast anymore. We've kind of tried. Blake Arulian, who's our play-by-play guy at Fierce.
Yeah.
I think he's decided that he wants to keep it going, and he's going to pick up a lot of it. So I think we'll see the Damage Plan MMA podcast come back with him.
Yeah. And
then you'll probably end up seeing myself or Jason with him from time to time.
Pop in and out. I was telling Jason, I was like, bro, the Damage Plan MMA podcast is an important outlet for our community.
Yeah.
Not only for the fan like me to kind of tune in and see what's going on with the fighters, but I think for the fighters in general, because there's really not a big outlet for these guys. And correct me if I'm wrong, but in this sport, that's part of the thing as well. You need attention.
Yeah. That was our whole point, whereas it was for the fighters. There was another local podcast. I was fighting and I was like, man, I want to be on the podcast. And the then host said, oh, it's kind of only for like the main event and co-main event and like title fights. And I was like, that's weird. Like, why wouldn't you just promote the fighters that want to come on and promote themselves? Like, that's a good marketing tool, right? And I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm sitting there like, as I'm fighting, I'm sitting there looking like, how can I take advantage of this platform that I have?
Yeah. And
it was weird. And then my next fight was a title fight, so I got to go on and it was cool, and I appreciate the time on. But that's me and Jason talked for a good, I want to say at least a year to 18 months, maybe even 2 years. It's like, we should do a podcast, and it was just for the fighters. And so we didn't really care if they were 0-0 or, a big time pro. Like, we had UFC fighters on the card or on the show, right? Yeah. Julian Erosa who was up cornering the main event up in Idaho, UFC fighter. He's on the Ultimate Fighter. He came on our podcast. So, we had everything from 0-0 amateur debuts to UFC fighters. So it was like, it was supposed to just be for the fighters and for everything. And then it kind of turned into our UFC picks and whatever. But the heart of that was to be a local outlet for the local fighters and to give the fans something.
Yeah. I think it's beautiful. With any podcast, we always go through these transitions, right?
Sure.
There's an evolution to anything, right? There's been an evolution with Fierce. With even the way that we bring out our fighters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think it went really good in person.
You like that?
Yeah, I think it went really cool.
Yeah, I'll give a credit to my uncle. He was supposed to come to our January show, and he got sick, and so he got stuck in Vegas. He comes up from Vegas to all my fights, and then comes up to the Fierce events now whenever he can. And he got sick, and so he was in Vegas, so he just watched the pay-per-view. And he called me the next day and was like, hey, I'm just going to be, this is the way my family is. My dad's this way, my uncle's this way, my grandpa's this way, I'm probably this way. It's like, hey, you didn't ask for it, but I'm going to give you some feedback.
Yeah.
But he was like, why don't you guys bring out the fighters like the UFC does and play their music, let them walk out, and then let, Jackson introduce them while they're in the cage. And I was like, I don't know. Like, why don't we do that? So we did it.
Yeah.
And I thought it went really well.
I think so too. I think just like anything else, it'll smooth its way out, right?
Yeah.
The more I feel like when we started with the first amateur fight to where we ended with the main event, I feel like it got it smoother.
I think part of it, and we talked about it, was the fans didn't know what to expect, right? Usually the fans up there and on the local scene, they're used to hearing the fighters announced and then walk.
Yeah.
That's what they're used to, right? So when that didn't happen and just music just hit and then all of a sudden they were coming, I think it took them a couple fights to realize like, oh, it's the next fight now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and me and Jackson talked about it, and that was just, little growing pains and stuff. But I think one thing that you can see is especially those 0-0 guys, right? We had some 0-0 amateurs kicking off the night. I think one thing we talked about is Jackson is so good at getting the crowd involved.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is just another avenue to allow you to introduce, hey, these first couple fighters that are coming out, this is their first experience fighting in front of an audience. They've been putting in on all this hard work. Like, people just don't understand. The nerves are so different right before that walk. And there's nothing that compares to it, but there's nothing that compares to walking out and having a crowd, an arena, whatever, cheering for you too.
Especially if you're local, if you're from there too. Think about that.
Right. So, that's a moment that we want to be special for them, especially the 0-0 guys. That's their first experience.
Yeah.
And so we talked about Jackson. I think we'll see next time Jackson pump up the crowd a little bit more so they know what's coming.
Yeah.
And then but what, like you said, as the night went on, it got better and better.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to take a step back a little bit more. You mentioned you fighting. So are you retired or what's going on?
Not retired. I'm going to make that very clear right now.
Okay.
Not retired.
Because I was saying you're too young to be retired, and I know the last fight got canceled.
Yeah.
And it was a rematch for a draw that you had.
Yeah.
And so, are we going to see that fight happen?
I would like to. It's tricky when you're a promoter, matchmaker, running your own show. There's a rule in Utah: you can't fight on your own card.
So we would never see you suit up in fierce fighting unless you retired
But
your cap.
But if technically, if I stepped away as the matchmaker and stepped away from the show for a show and wasn't participating in the matchmaking of building the card and then just letting the rest of the fierce team kind of pick up the slack that I do, and if they're willing to do that, and based off recent conversations, I believe that they are. I think there's a very good chance that I'll be in a fierce cage in 2023.
Wow. That's big, man. That's awesome. I would love to see that.
Yeah, I think here's the thing. There's a guy, I'm not going to say names. Everybody that knows, and everybody that doesn't know doesn't really need to know names on that. But there's a guy that used to do a little promoting, and he main evented his own show that he put on for a title and beat a dude that he'd already beaten for a title.
What?
And it was so wonky, right? And it just kind of looks corny. For me, I just have to be very careful about any matchups that I take under the Fierce banner.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to be fighting for any titles from my own promotion that, I help run.
Mm-hmm.
Those title, it just needs to be done with the utmost integrity to keep the integrity of the promotion in the sport. So, something like a rematch from a draw, that's just unfinished business.
Mm-hmm.
That needs to happen. There's a rematch from my amateur career that I really want, that I've talked with that opponent, and we both agreed that we would like to fight again as pros. So there's at least two that interest me.
So the one guy that you just mentioned, but how about the latest guy? Has he showed any interest?
Yeah, I think he'd be down.
Okay.
He's game. When he pulled out, he had COVID really bad. It was an unfortunate situation because he was trying to ride it out to get to fight, and his lungs just never recovered from COVID. But he's fought since then.
Well, it sounds like he needs to get in the cage, man. Sounds like he's healed up and ready to go.
Yeah, it's a timing thing. Now that we're putting on 10, possibly 11 shows in 2023,
what?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Is that including Challenger?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, so we'll probably we're scheduled for at least 10 and looking at adding potentially an extra Idaho card to go back to Idaho this summer rather than waiting till September. So that would put us at 11 shows total this year between the Maverick Center, the Mountain America Center up in Idaho Falls, and then the Challenger Series.
Wow. Busy times for Fierce.
Keeps us busy, but at the same time too, like, first and foremost, like, I am a competitor. I've always been uber competitive, and I'm not ready to close that chapter in my life. I'm just not. And my poor wife, I love her to death. She supports me. Babe, I love you. I put her through hell every time I do it, and I'm so appreciative of it, but it's an outlet, and it's like an itch that I can't scratch except to do it. And I don't think it'll ever go away, but I am 34, so it's like I don't have too many years left to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be fighting into my late 30s, so we need to get a couple done so that I can start mentally transitioning into just promoting.
What was your introduction to mixed martial arts?
Man, so I'm coming up on 6 years training. I was 270 pounds, and I just wanted something to get back in shape. I was always the active kid, football, baseball, basketball. And I wanted to find something that I could do that I loved, so I didn't feel like I was working out, right? Like, I'd go play like pickup ball for hours, even though I was out of shape. But like, but then, my knees always hurt, everything, back hurts. So I'm like, I need to find something that just is a full body workout that I enjoy. And man, our family found One Hit MMA. My actually now 11-year-old son, he started first. I watched him train for a few months, and then one of the pro fighters said, "Hey, I'm fighting. Do you want to come watch?" I was like, "Yeah." So we bought tickets for the whole family. It was kind of a nightmare because the seating situation wasn't great. My wife, I think we even left early. Like, my wife, it was hard watching with the little boys, and we didn't all have seats, so we were trying to hold them and stand. It was weird. But I was hooked, and I signed up in the gym the next Monday. I was in April 6 years ago. Yeah, so coming up on 6 years. And then my first fight was December later that year.
What made you enroll your son?
We were just watching, right? Like, it was like the Conor McGregor like craze, right? Like, we were watching the rise of Conor, and me and my son were just watching fights one night after I got introduced, and it got to the point where I started watching them pretty regularly on the weekends. It was before COVID, before they were every weekend.
Yeah.
So I'd once a month we'd sit down and watch fights, and my son was like walking out like WWE style, right? Like taking his shirt off and like, and it was just kind of wild. And one of my buddies, Tanner Hines, I knew that he trained at One Hit, and I just texted him. I said, "Hey, where do you train at?" I knew him from I coached two of his brothers in football. And so I just knew their family. And so hey, where do you train at? Do they do kids? Texted Aldo, who's the owner of One Hit. He's like, "Yeah, bring him. He's a little young, but bring him. And if he can pay attention, he can do the class." And we brought him, and he doesn't train, but he did it for a few years. And, he's competent in jiu-jitsu, and he knows what he's doing with kickboxing. He knows what he's watching at the fights. Like, so if you see a little 11-year-old blonde boy running around the Fierce fights, it's my son Hunter, and he's probably hustling the merchandise booth. Or
he always comes up to me and says hi whenever like Maverick Center. I didn't see him this time.
No, he stayed home. He had basketball. He had a basketball game, so he's a hooper. He's a good little basketball player, good little athlete, and he just had a basketball game, so they didn't make it up this weekend.
So your son's in there. You go to the fights. You get inspired. You go into the gym the first time. What was that like? What was your first time actually rolling with these guys?
It's so intimidating, right? But this is my one message to anybody out here who's listening that's saying, I would like to do that, but it's intimidating, and it is. The beauty of, and this is the arts of it, is the martial arts of it, is for the most part, you step onto the mat and everybody's in that adult class, and it's everybody from a mom and a dad who's just doing it to stay in shape, to some people that are just hobbyists, to people like Cole Faust who are going to make a career out of this. And they're all on the same mat doing the same drills, doing the same things, just maybe different level of intensities, and doing it with the purpose of different goals. And that's what I found out really early, was I belong here, not because I'm on the same journey as like some of these killers, but because like we're all just trying to get better and better ourselves and for our lives, for whatever that means.
Yeah.
And they made Ben Moa. I'll always be grateful for him because he's the one that gave me the confidence to, remind me like, hey, you're a competitor. Like, you played football. Like, you're a dog too. Like, and he kind of woke that back up in me because I kind of put that away. Like, that part of me was over in life. And he kind of brought that back. And so it was great, and I just I quickly shifted from I'm doing this to lose weight to I want to compete, but maybe just one time. And then that one time turned into 2 fight offers, and then it got to 3-0, and then it got to I want to fight for a belt, and then that was my goal, and then I want to defend my belt, and it just turned into 7 fights later.
Dang. Is that, 7 fights, is that from, what was it, 5 fights and then you got a title shot?
3. I got to 3-0, and I had my first title shot when I was 3-0 for an amateur title.
Is that pretty quick?
Yes and no. It just kind of depends on the promotion, and it depends on like the scene and what's going on around. I was offered a few guys for that fight, and I just said, I just want to fight whoever I can fight for a belt. And they said, well, here's this guy, and he's pretty tough. And I said, I don't care. Like, I don't want an easy fight for a belt. And then he had an injury that had to pull out, so they replaced him with my second opponent, who we went to a 3-round decision. I handled him pretty soundly. It's like 30-27 on 2 of the judges' scorecard. But he was adamant that he won that fight, and was constantly running his mouth asking for a rematch. So the promotion gave him that as a late notice fill-in for a title fight, and let him. And we didn't need the judges the second time. We just finished in the first. And
so when we hear about these fighters, right? We hear about like their specialty, right? Unless you're John Jones, then you're just wherever you want to be.
Yeah.
What's Zack's specialty? Where do you like to be?
Where do that's really interesting because I feel like one of the things that drives me the most crazy and why I still want to fight is I don't really feel like I've shown all I'm capable of in the cage yet. I would love like a knockdown, drag out on the feet. Like, I want to stand and bang.
Yeah.
And whether it goes good for me or not, like, I want a dog fight, like one of those dog fights. And but they usually tend to go to the ground. I do like to pick people up and slam them. That's like one of my things that I did, and probably I think I've done in probably 4 or 5 of my 7 fights, is at some point, like, if I can get to a double leg and grab under your butt, if I can lift you, I'm gonna lift you, and I'm gonna slam you. Like, I love doing that.
My good friend Kofi. Are you familiar with Coach Kofi?
Oh yeah, up in Cache Valley.
Yeah. With Cache Valley MMA. Shout out to them. They coined him Baby Rampage because that's what he was doing back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So it's exciting, right? I was just telling my friends about the Idaho trip, and I'm like, yeah, like, the fights were electric, man. They're not only are we there for the fighters, but the fighters are there for the audience, right? The audience is the entertainment portion of it, but these guys are also here for a ranking and trying to get their numbers up, right? When as a fighter, do you ever have that in your mind, like, I need to be entertaining, but I also want to get a win? Or is it just, I need to get this win, I don't care if these guys are entertained?
What's your goal? Like, some fighters, their goal, I'm a hobbyist, man. Like, I'm not going to the UFC. I'm not going to Bellator. I'm not going to PFL. Like, I'm never going to support my family with paychecks that I earn from fighting. I know that. So I'm a hobbyist. So from that standpoint, like, I want to be a fun fighter. I want to be a fighter that the fans come out and see. Like, win or lose. Like, I lost a 5-round title fight when I dropped down to 170 and fought for a title fight, and I got wrestled for pretty much 5 rounds. But people said it was entertaining. Like, I was trying. I was throwing up submissions and off my back, and I was trying for 5 rounds. Like, so that's important to me. I want people to watch my fights and be entertained. And obviously I want to win, but winning is the main goal. But so I have a luxury that I feel like some don't. There's some fighters that they were trying to make this their career, but then they want to be showmen too.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes those conflict, right? Justin Gaethje, he went through this stage where, he always said, who's my equal? Because he was beating guys, but when he got to everybody just being violent, but when he finally got to the top and he fought Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier, like, he learned there's another level he has to get to than just being more violent, because he got beat up by those guys.
Yeah.
And then when he figured that out, he beat the brakes off of Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, he did.
And he changed that man's life forever.
Mm-hmm.
He'll never be the same. He went from the goal was being entertaining to the goal was being a world champion, and that was the difference of how he fought those guys. It wasn't that Justin Gaethje was that much better than Tony Ferguson. It was versus the Justin Gaethje that fought Dustin Poirier and Eddie Alvarez and lost. It was that the goal changed of being exciting to, I want to be a world champion.
There's a huge mindset thing with fighting that I would probably never know or experience, because that's not in me. I have no desire to get in the cage. Maybe roll a little bit.
Let's do one, baby.
No.
Is there like another DJ that you like beef with or something? We can set it up.
No. George Bush actually invited me. He was like, "Dre, come out and roll with me."
He's a beast. And I've rolled with George. He's a beast on the mat.
He says that.
He is. He is a beast on the mat.
I feel like George be talking a little too highly about yourself, George. I'm calling you out, George. No, I was playing.
I wouldn't do that if I've rolled with George. It's not gonna head over you, Dre.
I don't want no problems. But it kind of goes back to the whole intimidation thing, right? It's kind of like, I just got to suck it up and get in there. But every time I look at these classes, like karate classes or whatever type of class it is, I feel like you have to wait until like a certain enrollment period, but there's no enrollment periods with these gyms. You jump in wherever level these guys are at already, right?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. So I do a lot of like boxing one-on-ones for people, like beginner stuff, kickboxing and boxing one-on-one. And, I have a kid that I do this morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. He just wants to be able to box with his friends and beat up his friends. Like they all do like little backyard boxing stuff, and he's like trying to get a little extra working on the sides. Yeah, because he's sick of getting beat up.
Allegedly, because I don't think that's sanctioned.
Allegedly, hypothetically,
yeah.
Hypothetically,
we've all been there before, though, right?
No, but they're just friends. Like they're not doing anything wrong. They just do it. He got sick of being beat up, so him and his sister are doing boxing lessons. His sister's doing it to get in shape. He's doing it because he wants to learn how to legitimately like throw some punches the correct way. So. And then he started asking, he's like, how far away before, like, I can fight? And I was like, well, like, you need to come probably do some of the stuff with the rest of the fight team and learn that stuff. And when you say, like, beginners, when they come in, there's no wrong time to start, because I've been training for 6 years. You have somebody like Cole Faust at our gym he's going to be in the UFC in the next few years. But we all go with those beginners sometimes, and we know, like, because guess what? It was our first day once too. You know what I mean? And I've trained with guys that, I don't go easy on new guys. Like, I have to get my work in. Well, hey, don't be a jerk off for 1 3-minute round and work with them how you were either worked with when you first signed up, or how you wish somebody would have worked with you when you first signed up. And so that I take that responsibility very seriously at our gym, of making sure that people, when they come, as long as they're respectful, that they feel welcome, and that they feel that they're supported by the other people in the gym, trying to help them with whatever goals they have by being there.
I think that's great, man. I think that if you want to do it, you'll do it, right? Just get in there. You'll just.
So Dre, do it.
I know.
Come on, bro.
I'll get in there soon enough, and I have to, man. I've seen these guys come and go in this MMA. I've been in this MMA community a very long time, and it's crazy. We were coming home from Idaho, and we were on the 3rd floor, right? And we're going down to the lobby and hit the button. It stops on the 2nd floor, and who is it? Jeremy Horn.
Yeah, baby. Oh my God.
And I told my wife the night before, because we were watching the Volk fight, right? And Jeremy allegedly I look like he had his laptop open. I'm not gonna say what we were watching how we were watching the fight, but he had his laptop open and he had the fight up on the.
He's probably on ESPN Plus streaming it
There
legitimately.
it is. Legally.
Legitimately.
Dana. But
don't get Jeremy Horn on Dana's radar. What are you doing?
Hey, just snitching on Jeremy Horn.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So I told my wife the night before, I was like, you see that guy over there in the because I was showing her, okay, that's Judge over there. He's sitting over there, which salute to Judge for making the trip just to be, just to show love. And then my other cousin, he was at the other side of the table, and I was like, showing him all the fighters, right? And then Jeremy was with his friend over there, and I was like, you see that guy over there? She's like, yeah. I was like, UFC legend right there.
Baddest Mamma Jamma in Utah.
And nicest guy. I it's funny. He used to, when he did his elite fight nights back in the day.
Yeah.
I hosted rap battles during intermission.
Oh yeah.
In the cage.
Okay.
And I was showing her, and she was like, "Oh, that's the guy," and whatnot. And then when we were leaving the next day, he pops up in the elevator. We all crammed in like sardines. My son's all looking at him. It was a funny moment.
So I was cornering at FitCon my teammate Tanner Hines, one of my best friends in MMA. I was cornering him against Johan Rubio. And I believe that was Johan's second to last amateur fight. And I was cornering Tanner, and I look across, and Jeremy Horn's in the other corner, and I just sat there, and I was just like, how am I cornering against Jeremy Horn right now? Like, what is happening? That was like 2 years ago, so I'm like, I've been in the sport 4 years, and I am cornering against Jeremy Horn. I'm like, this is so freaking cool. Like, I'm a huge fan of his. I think he's one of the most underappreciated people in MMA in Utah. People talk about like all the greats that have come from Utah, and Court McKee's still doing his thing. Just got another UFC fight announced, and Josh Berkman's, and all these fighters and all these legends from here. I just feel like Jeremy Horn's name doesn't get brought up near enough because it's like he's Mount Rushmore to me.
Yeah.
Like, the dude has over 100 fights. What is he like? I saw somebody said it was like he's like 92 and 22 and 5 or something like that. Like, oh my! And I'm sure he has more fights that aren't on there.
And the names, it's not just like
Chael Sonnen, Chuck Liddell,
Silva.
Yeah, I mean, he fought everybody back in the day, and he fought and if you go look, like, I don't know if you ever go look at his Tapology, if you've looked at it. Coach Horn, this isn't weird, but dude, it's crazy. Like, he'll have these things where he'll like fought like 5 times in 6 weekends.
That's crazy.
I'm like, imagine trying to do that now.
Yeah.
There's no way. Dude, he's the coolest, man.
And very skill set. And the guys that come out of his gym are always just super nice, and like, at least the guys that I've ran into, and they got skill.
They're tough.
Yeah.
So all the guys that come out of that gym,
David Castillo was so dope when he was at it.
Yeah, see, I don't know Dave really. So he kind of was exiting the game as I was coming in, and so I've never seen him. I've never seen him fight. I've seen old clips, and obviously he's very skilled and he was a very good fighter back in the day. But yeah, I mean, Jeremy put out a lot of. I mean, look, Sean O'Connell won the PFL, right? Doing things, but I mean, he's got some guys coming up right now that are, I watch Johan. So I was supposed to fight Johan Rubio.
Really?
Yeah.
At what?
At Fierce.
No, at what weight though?
At 185.
Really?
Yeah, I was the 185 champ at Steel Fist, and he was the 185 champ and just beating my teammate Tanner Hines. And COVID happened, and Steel Fist wasn't happening. And that's kind of how the whole introduction with me with Fierce started. Because Fierce was going to put on a show at the Maverick Center, and then the Maverick Center actually pulled the plug on the show 48 hours before it happened. Because some news outlet got word that they were doing an MMA show in an arena in Utah, and they were going to blast it all over their headlines because Utah was like a hotbed for COVID at the moment. It was wild. So I watch. So I believe, and Johan knows I love him. I consider him a friend now.
Yeah.
And I respected him. I know he was tough, but I really believed in that 48 hours that I was going to go in there and I was going to beat that dude. version of Zack, I thought. And I watch him fight now, and I'm like, oh my gosh, thank goodness I did not fight that guy.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's a small community out here, right?
So small.
So he fought one of my really good friends, Dominico.
Oh yeah,
right.
Dom.
And I had him on the radio show. I had both of them on the radio show, and you know, Johan is just like. Just a nicest guy, you know. I'm throwing him wisecracks. Like, what if Dominico comes out to fuck the police? like, what are you gonna do? And he's a good sport about it, right?
Yeah.
He's a good sport. And you know, now we're buddies. I seen him in Idaho, give him love, right?
And I mean, how cool is it that he came all the way up and to support his teammates in I mean, like talking about Jeremy Horn and the environment. I mean, there are gyms here in Utah that, you know, Utah is so lucky to have these gyms. You know, my gym, One Hit MMA in Layton. Like, obviously I'm biased, but like, I think we're the best fight team in the state. Obviously, I mean, it's my team, but like, love our coaches, love our teams, love our teammates, love the dynamic that we have there. But like, you know, now that I get to work with these other gyms, and it's just like, you know, there's a healthy competitiveness there, but I feel like that there's also becoming this building thing of like, we are Utah MMA, and like we can all work together, and even if we have to fight each other occasionally, like we're all just building Utah MMA right now. And Jeremy Horn's gym, and you know, Dane and Amy Aristonable at Agima in Provo, Ramsey Najim up at the Pit in Salt Lake. Like, we're all building like this, and maybe Utah's not so, you know, in the shadows anymore, and people are starting to understand, like, we have a very, very good fight scene here.
I think we just need to show it. I think I was telling Jackson, I feel like there's a huge opportunity in the digital space. Samson did a great job on Saturday night getting behind the scenes clips and whatnot. I think there's a huge opportunity to show that. And kind of like I was mentioning earlier, is that the podcast, these fighters being able to show their personality. If they could sell the fight, right? If they could sell these tickets and be the personality, but then also get the job done in the cage and make it entertaining, there's a healthy balance with this thing, and we're almost there. We have all the pieces. We just got to put them together.
And it's getting put together right now. We have a really good team at Fierce that we're gonna. With the amount of shows that we're doing, we have a really good team at Fierce that's about to start putting out regular content. As you see, our YouTube channel of our whole like fight history libraries on our YouTube channel now. Mm-hmm. You know, go check out Fierce Fighting Championship on YouTube.
And fiercefightingchampionship.com if you want to see the back pay-per-views as well.
Yeah, so they're all on the website, which now is all linked to our YouTube channel. Every individual fight and the whole fight cards. So you can just go watch like all of Joel Haro's fights or all of Kent Mafaleo's fights.
Oh, nice.
Like, yeah, so I mean, we're trying to do a lot of really cool things in the digital space to build that brand recognition, because quite frankly, these fighters they deserve it.
Mm-hmm. They put in a lot of work. We were talking about this a few months ago, and you kind of hinted to it. Utah MMA athletes that have done it, that are retired, not really getting the recognition. Will there ever be maybe an inductee, honorable Hall of Fame, whatever you want to call it? And will Fierce be the ones to kind of do that?
I've talked about it with the owner of Fierce, Cody Bunderson. We've talked about doing. I would love to do some sort of like annual ceremony where all the fighters, all the coaches, all the gyms come to a night. You know, have a catered dinner and recognize, you know, Jeremy Horn, Court McGee, some of the old schools,
Sharp,
Steve Sharp. I'm trying to think. There's some female fighters too. Deanna Bennett, who just announced she's fighting for a Bellator title coming up here this year. I mean, yeah, Kevin O'Connell or Sean O'Connell, for Josh Berkman. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Mm-hmm. And not to mention, start doing, you know, some sort of whatever. Oh, there's my phone. My bad. Rookie mistake.
I thought it was an Amber Alert for a minute.
I haven't done one of these. I'll just turn this off right here. But no, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think you. I mean, just dude, whatever we can do to make Utah a little bit different and stand out at Fierce, we're willing to do it.
I think it's the perfect time, man. People are hungry for it. You see it in their faces when they're leaving, man. And just to roll into another state, that's another question I was gonna have. Are there other states that you want to conquer with this thing, or other cities?
Yes. Well, right now there's some things we need to work out. That was our first time traveling to a different state.
Yeah.
And dealing with a different athletic commission. I think they did probably the best that they could with what they have. Idaho's a completely different animal than Utah, though. We're so lucky here in Utah to have Scott Buller and the Pete Swazo Utah Athletic Commission here in Utah. They do a phenomenal job. And for people maybe here that don't appreciate them, go try and do a show in another state, because, oh my goodness, like, there's some stuff that happened last weekend that was just a ginormous headache that I never could have imagined happened and would have never happened here in Utah. But again, Idaho doesn't get any state funding.
Really?
For their athletic commission, no. So it's all on the promotion to pay for all the fees for everybody. So their fees are a lot higher. But then they don't do shows as much, and so they're a lot less experienced. And so it just they're just not smooth with it.
Hopefully they get there.
I mean, yeah, we'll get them there. we'll get them there.
What's the feeling of leaving a mark in history? Because in Idaho Falls, that was the first time in that arena that they've ever had MMA.
Yeah, I mean, it's a brand new arena. That's cool. I don't really look at it as leaving a mark in history. I don't care about that stuff, right? Like, I've seen people post like, you know, this was January is the best show Utah's ever seen, or, you know, if there's any conversations, I see it all and I hear it all. And, you know, what MMA promotion in Utah is the best or whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be the best promotion we can be and put on the best show we can. And if some people feel like January 20th was the best card they'd ever seen in Idaho, like, that's fantastic. I'm already looking at what can we do in April to be better.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just worried about getting better. I'm not worried about all that other noise. I mean, yeah, it's cool to go up there and open up a new venue like that, but it's like, okay, we sold out what we had. Now we got to go back up and open up the whole arena and sell it out.
Yeah.
Okay, we start doing that. Cool. Like, now what do we do to be better? That's all I care about.
I think that's the right mindset, man. Don't get comfortable. Don't get complacent, and have fun and make it, you know, better.
I probably should enjoy the process and enjoy the moment a little bit more. But that's literally where my head's at during the show. Like, I mean, there were some moments in the show that it was just like, this is cool, man. Like, this is cool. I'm more happy to do it for Cody. When I was looking at a couple options, even starting my own promotion, when Cody took me to lunch and said, you know, here's the keys to the Ferrari, just come run my show, please. And for him to put that much faith in me, I just want to pay it back for him, right? Like, he carried Utah, with Fierce, trying to put on a show for pros here in Utah for a while, and now sitting in that chair, I understand. I mean, anybody that's done it, Steel Fist, Mayhem, Mountain Force, anybody that's tried and failed, like, I get it. It's hard. Steel Fist has been around for a long time. Like, appreciate and respect what they've done over their tenure here in Utah. But, you know, I want to deliver on the responsibility that Cody gave me, and the fact that we could go up there and sell out an arena and put on the biggest show that Fierce has ever had. Delivering that for him, that's what, you know, helped me relax for a moment.
Having two promotions in Utah, two bigger promotions in Utah, how difficult is it to matchmake without, like, I guess, stepping on toes, or is that even an issue? Is it hard to matchmake in Utah?
No, No, matchmaking for me is, it's kind of what I've always done. It's relationship building, right? And really, your matchmaking abilities, for me, my personal opinion is it's largely predicated on the relationships you build. There's only one gym owner in Utah that I don't get along with, and because I said some things about on my podcast that I fully stand behind, but he didn't like him and took exception to him. So when it comes to his gym, Cody still has to kind of reach out and talk to them, because he doesn't want to talk to me and I don't want to talk to him, and that's fine. But everybody else I have a good relationship with. So really, I mean, it's, hey, I usually it's as simple as, hey, here's our dates. Here's where we'll be. Send me the fighters you'd like to see on these cards or that want to fight on these dates or in these locations. And then the gym send them to me, and I kind of go through and build the outline of the card, and then I start going matching them, and I try and go where I can. If we can get Utah versus Utah, that's fine, but I try and bring people in out of state for Utah fighters. And like up in Idaho, I tried to bring out of staters for them. I think the crowd likes it better. It's a little bit more expensive for the show, but that's where I want Fierce to be a Utah versus everybody type show. Every once in a while you get a Rubio versus Dom.
Yeah.
That's just kind of a treat for the fans because everybody knows them and likes both guys.
Mm-hmm.
It just made too much sense not to happen. But I mean, for the most part, I'm trying to bring people in for the guys. And so matchmaking is not that hard. And again, there's so many good gyms here. There's so many good fighters and up and coming fighters. I believe in abundance theory 100%. There's enough for all of us to go around. Crown Fighting Championship in St. George, they have a card in March. So we have Steel Fist March 10th next month. We're March 18th at Clearfield High for Challenger Series. And the next weekend, Aaron Reyes, Ace down at Fusion MMA in St. George, they put on their card the next weekend. And it's full. All three cards are just full of Utah fighters. And that's fantastic.
Yeah. I think these guys, they deserve it, man. They're working hard. You guys are putting in a lot of work. Fierce Fighting, man, going from building a cage in just hours before the fight.
Yeah. Shout out to Sajin, because Sajin's my guy, and I trust him with my life, and he's been like my best friend for probably the longest of my best friends right now. And we're kind of glued at the hip. But that was like one of the things when Cody brought me on. I was like, Sajin's a package deal. Like, we're a package deal. We've done our last business together and stuff. Like, it's a package deal. And what he does, like setting up the cage and tear down and everything, he's like a wizard with it. Like, there's nobody else I would trust more than Sajin to do all that stuff.
We were at a Burger Theory, eating dinner, me and my family, and Jackson was like, Sajin's upstairs crying right now. I was like, why? What happened? He was like, man, we just found out we sold out.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's really cool, man.
It was powerful, man. I mean, I'm happy to do this for, I'm happy to do that for Cody and deliver that. But like our whole team like me and Sajin, people don't know, like we sold our car detailing company to do this full time.
Wow.
Like we went all in with this. And last year was rough. Like the cards were building and we were building the hype and everybody was seeing the progress in Fierce, and we started the Challenger Series strong, and to make that.
And personally, you had a lot of stuff personally going on with having a baby, and
yeah, my
your kid decided to break his arm,
his leg on fight day. Oh my god,
that was insane, bro.
Dude, that was. I mean, so I'm driving to the Maverick Center on April 30th. April 30th was my first show that Cody just was full on, just like, I'm stepping back, you got this. And that was like my first show. I mean, when I say that, I still call him all the time and ask him, input and stuff like that. But like, that was like my show that like I 100% matched, and like, and it was like more like, it felt like more my show. Right.
Yeah.
And my wife calls me and she goes, I think Jordan, like, I think dislocated his hip or like broke his leg or something. Something's not right. And I was just like, first thing I go is like, Of course. Like, he didn't break his leg. Like, that's insane. Like, but Zach, don't be a jerk. Like, okay, well, I'm just going to turn around. I'll come check on him real quick. This is why I leave to the arena early.
Yep.
So if something happens, like, I can still be there in time. So I live in Kaysville. Hurried and flipped around in Centerville. Went about 120 miles an hour down Legacy.
Allegedly.
Yeah, we're past the statute of limitations at this point. I ain't getting no speeding ticket. And I just cruise, and I get there, and he's still crying, and she had him. I think it was can't remember, but he was crying, and she was pregnant too. I mean, she was like, 7 months pregnant?
Wow.
The baby came in June.
Yep.
So yeah, so she was 7 months pregnant. So she's like, can you hold him? Like, she's just uncomfortable, right? And so I was like, yeah. And so I held him, and I felt his leg, just like kind of see what was going on, and I could feel the bone, his femur bone moving, and I was just like, yep. I'm like, we got to go to the hospital. So I call my dad. Dad, I need you to come over, hang out with the big boys. We're not going to the fights tonight. Go to the hospital, and they put a splint in it or whatever, x-rayed it. Yeah, sent us up to Primary Children's. And so I watched the fights from Primary Children's Hospital that night.
Oh, man. The joys of being a father, man. You have how many? You have 3 now?
4 boys.
4 boys.
Yeah.
So
I only make men. I have my friend that has all daughters, and I was like, man.
Yeah. Is that something that you and your wife, did you guys plan to have like a bigger family? Is that something that you guys want?
What's funny is we always said 4. But then, like, after 2, I was like, I'm kind of good.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm happy we've had the 2 others. Like, obviously I love them to death.
Of course.
So I don't know if that was the plan. I mean, the plan was kind of like, we talked to, like, when we got married, it was always like, yeah, we'll probably have like 4 kids. And now it's for sure like, yeah, we're having 4 kids, and that is it.
I always wanted a big family.
Yeah.
Got with my wife, and that changed after the first.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's different.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm good on one. We're good.
Yeah.
But she, of course, I want a daughter. All right. Second child, boy, little Amari. He's 4 now.
There's no guarantees, FYI, folks.
And then the third one. Now she got her daughter.
Yeah.
So
now we good.
We got baby girl. We're good. But she still wants another one.
Oh.
And I'm like, no. Her pregnancy, it's not even about having like a hard time with babies, but she has a really hard pregnancy.
Yeah.
She gets blood clots in her leg.
Oh, see, that's scary.
Yeah, so I have to give her the Lovenox shot, blood thinner, twice a day, 9 months. Big old belly. Have to stick it in her belly. I hate doing that.
Oh, yeah. That's a deal breaker.
It's scary. And on top of that, she's bedridden, hospital. It's just not a good situation. She literally almost lost her life.
Oh, my God.
Our first child. And which is the one that always comes to the fights. Thank you, by the way. Took care of the family. Always. But yeah, man, being a father, untimely things, it always happens.
It's cool. But that was the thing. I just remember being at the hospital with him and just holding him in the hospital bed, and she was like, I think we're good, like, if you want to go to the fights. And I was just like I'm not gonna leave him.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't want to leave her to deal with it by herself. She's 7 months pregnant and stuff, but like, I don't want to leave it. Like, that's my responsibility.
Yeah.
Like, everybody at the fights can take care of the fights. The fights will be fine. Like, and there's gonna be, we're gonna have hopefully hundreds more fight nights here with Fierce. But like, that can all wait. That we can do the whatever, the post, the pictures in the cage and stuff. We can do that the next fights. Like, that's all I could think about was like him. Like, dude, he was in a full Spica cast for a month, getting pulled around our house in a wagon.
Oh man.
I mean, he's still whiny from it, like, because he was just waiting on hand and foot for like a month.
Yeah.
It was wild.
Do you think there will ever be a time where does MMA get any type of grants for these events and gyms and things like that? Are there sports grants for that?
I don't believe so. We're doing some pretty cool stuff with our nonprofit. It finally got officialized. I think like within the last couple of weeks. Be Fierce, Be Kind, which is our nonprofit with that. The goal with that is just raise money to help underprivileged youth that can't afford gyms and stuff like that. And I think when you're associated with a nonprofit, like you can get funding from grants and stuff like that. And hopefully we can do that and help out local gyms with that money by, I think most gyms probably have kids that parents can't afford it. And so the coaches just say, yeah, just bring them. I'd rather you bring them than not. If it's really just money, just bring them.
Keeps them off the street.
Yeah. So we're getting kids sponsored. We have some kids sponsored at Sierra MMA where Joel Haro trains and things like that. And the goal is to pay for their, pay for a year of training with that sponsorship and, their kickboxing gloves and their shin pads and then their gi for jiu-jitsu. And so I think as that program grows and we explore that avenue and grow that part of what we're trying to do on leaving that impact in MMA in Utah, that we'll be able to do some really, really cool things to help support local businesses, help kids that can't afford it, families that can't afford it. It kind of checks a lot of those boxes.
I'm just thinking, how cool would it be if Utah had its own Apex, where it's like the perfect size, where you like the fierce fighting has its own home. I think that would be really cool.
It would be in theory, and I know it's been explored by other promotions. I know Showdown looked into buying a venue that was going to be their own. I've heard rumors of other promotions doing it. At the end of the day, I just don't think it's a very financially responsible thing to do, because there's a reason why the UFC can do it. It's because they're the flagship for the whole sport.
Yeah.
But if you look, even like LFA is probably widely regarded as the top regional show in the country, and they still just travel around and put on shows. Like they don't even have like a home base.
Yeah.
Right? I'm really happy with our partners at the Maverick Center and making that our home base, kinda. Idaho Falls obviously is going to become a big part of our rotation up at that venue. But I don't know if there's going to be like an Apex, but there's some things that I like to see, and who knows, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. What I would really like to see is more like a PI here in Utah, like the UFC has the PI center.
Well, that's kind of what I was talking about.
I would like to find a home base in Utah that fighters can come train at. That's state funded or something like that to help. There's a lot of these independent kids that maybe can't afford a gym, but they want to fight, so they just fight. But they don't have proper coaching to train them, so they never really get where they want to go. Like guys from gyms, like we look to match up against independent guys. Like training in a gym versus just training in the street, and people think that they're ready. Like they're not ready, dude.
Yeah.
I don't say that with any disrespect, because I know a lot of those guys are really, really tough, but they're not training like we are in a gym. It would be really cool if there was a central place and a place that could, welcome all those people, and we could figure out some sort of training regimen for anybody that wanted to train in it. And then obviously the medical care and stuff like that the fighters could get at a facility like that would be pretty awesome.
Do you feel that a fighter needs to move out of Utah in order to make it to that next level?
Absolutely not.
What's this idea that people need to go to Vegas or go to San Diego or whatever to make it to that next level?
Well,
because I hear this thing a lot.
Well, I'll be careful how I say some of this. Say it. I think every fighter is different. There are yes and no. There are things that in MMA that sorry, this is tough because I'm privy to some personal information, so I'm just trying not to use names. There are people that are really good fighters that fight at gyms, big gyms, even here in Utah, that sometimes if they feel like they need to go anywhere, I don't care if you're the top dog at your gym, like if you're not the best guy in the room, or if you're the best guy in the room and nobody's pushing you anymore, where are you gonna get that training where you're getting pushed? Right? And I think that's where the complacency always happens in sports, and you see it at the top, right? Like Conor McGregor, right? His rise was so fast, but something happened somewhere that he's just not getting pushed the way that he used to. He didn't have anything to, he had this chip on his shoulder of trying to, prove everything. Once he kind of climbed that, he kind of lost that edge.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we say the same thing about Tyron Woodley too.
Sure. Yeah. T Wood's a great example. He started doing rapping, started wanting to get acting and this and
Hollywood,
that.
Yep.
And man, like he's most known for getting knocked out by Jake Paul now.
Yeah.
That drops fast. So it's like when I say no, I mean like, there's a lot of fighters in Utah that I think that can go very, very far. They can go very, very far in their gyms in Utah. But there's also some that could definitely, I think there's an appropriate way to cross train too. Like I know some fighters will go. So my coach, I'll just use my example of my coach, Jordan Smith. I don't know if you know Jordan. I think he's one of the best fighters to ever come out of Utah. He went on to the Ultimate Fighter, got knocked out for his first loss against now, UFC mainstay Brad Tavares on that season. He was on the season that Court McGee won.
Oh, okay.
He fought to get in the house and got knocked out. It's the first time he ever got lost. First time he ever got knocked out. He's my main striking coach. Been very close with him for five plus years now. He's somebody, he trained here in Utah, but then he was also one of the main training partners for Anderson Silva to help Anderson get ready for his fights. And so he would go do his training camps sometimes at Black House MMA in California, where he wasn't the best guy. So he's getting his work in here, but then he would go do the core of his camp at one of those big camps where he's getting beat up and he's getting pushed. And I think that that's a healthy way to do it. So they don't have to leave their gyms in Utah, but maybe just get different looks at other gyms not in Utah, if that makes sense.
No, it makes total sense. How does one go to that next level? Does somebody from the UFC promotion reach out to the gym? So we'll say one hit. How does that work? How do they get to that level? How do those conversations happen? Is it politics?
The managers.
Oh, okay. So you have to have a manager.
For the most part. I mean, some fighters manage themselves, right? I mean, in today's day and age, I mean, everybody's on social media, right? Mm-hmm. I know really, really, really good fighters that don't have managers, but they've been messaged on their personal Instagrams or whatever. Hey, my name's so-and-so with whatever agency. Like, I'm very interested in you. Like, love to talk and show you what I can do for you type thing. But like I work with a handful of managers that, they all work with those matchmakers at the UFC. They have guys that are in the UFC. So if you want to go to the UFC, you probably do need somebody that knows one of those matchmakers.
Gotcha. Is that anything that you aspire to be? Like, would you ever want to be a manager of a fighter?
Absolutely not.
No.
I'm a promoter. I feel like it's a conflict of interest. I've actually had, officially 3 fighters ask me like, hey, would you be my manager? I said, no. I feel like it's a little bit of a conflict of interest, 1, but 2, here's a really good manager. They're connected. Here's their number. And I've referred a few people to a few different managers, but I'd say, like if I was you in your shoes, this is who I would sign with. So if they trust me enough to ask me to be their manager, they trust me quite a bit when I tell them this is who I think you should manage with. Or, there's a couple guys that it's like, if I knew I was going to go somewhere in the sport or was going to try and go somewhere, I'd sign with one of these guys.
We'll kind of wrap it up and get into our next segments, but I want to ask you, who are the fighters in Utah we need to be watching right now?
Cole Faust. It's Cole Faust. It's Cole Faust. It's Cole Faust. Yes, he's my training partner. He's one of my best friends. I I love that. I love him like a brother. But people, I don't say this to be disrespectful to other fighters. His nickname's The Machine because it's literally all he does. People don't understand the work he puts in. And when I say they don't understand the work he puts in, I'm saying the work he's been putting in since he was a child to be where he's at. And if people knew, I'm just giving people a heads up. Whatever you think you've seen of Cole, for the people that have watched his 10 amateur fights, and as he just announced Friday night, he's going to be making his turn for pro for his next fight, whenever that happens. People, we've seen this much of that kid. He has the abilities. He has abilities and a wide range of talents that we haven't even scratched the surface on his ceiling of what we've seen. And the only reason why I can say that confidently is I watch it every day, twice a day in the training room, and then doing all the other stuff that he does outside of the training room. He doesn't take time off for no reason. He doesn't get out of shape because he's lazy. It's a big one. I see a lot of fighters, they fight and then they balloon up and then they, like me, right? Hobbyist, right?
Patty Piblant type of situation.
He doesn't, there's no shortcuts with that kid. You know, he lives his life. Yeah, he just fought last weekend and retained his title, and, you know, and we say, you know, it's not and still, it's and always. Like, he'll always be the champ. But we have a lot of really good fighters here in Utah. I think from everything that I've seen, with his age and where he's at, I think his ceiling's the highest.
Say the name one more time.
Cole Faust.
Cole Faust. What weight?
155 lightweight.
Wow.
The deepest division in the UFC, and he's coming for all of them. And I don't. There's never been a second where I've doubted that young man. He's phenomenal.
At a one hit?
Yeah.
Who beats Kent Mafaleo?
Nobody in the state of Utah.
Homeboy from Canada. Was that
yeah.
So
that was fun, huh?
Yeah. Was that improv?
Yeah.
I didn't even know Kent was in the building.
So Kent, when he's like, hey, I think I'm gonna come up, I'm like, come up, I'll take care of you, you know, come on in. So we put him at a couple of those, one of the tables that wasn't filled. That we just kind of had a few extra tables set up around just for, you know, fighters to hang out at, whatever after. So I got him, and Julian Ruiz came up with him, and their dates and whatever, and we're in the cage, and Jag goes, I want that belt. And man, that dude, he's wild. He's been messaging me for like a year. I want that belt. I want that belt. I want that belt. And when he was like an amateur, I'm like, I'm not gonna just give you a title fight because you want it, dude.
Yeah.
And so he's a beast though. He is. And I want this belt. And I was like, hey, well, you got to come beat this dude, and then we can talk. And when he says, I want that belt, and I see Kent go. And I look at Kent, and I go, okay. I'm like, this is going to be good.
Yeah.
And then Kent comes into the cage, and he kind of like charging a little bit. And I just remember, I'm still like it's going to make a difference. I'm like, be cool. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. And like, if we see, and this dude just got a first round finish, we might see round 2 right now. It's just like, no, be cool. And Kent was cool, and they played it off really good. So I think there's a chance we could see that fight happen later this year.
So, but both of them have a fight scheduled, you mentioned.
Yeah, we're nothing official for Kent yet. Kind of waiting for the word on some things to happen officially. But Jag is very proactive with his fights. He already had a fight booked for March 18th.
Wow.
Well, our next card's April 21st. So it's like, I'm not booking him to fight when he has a fight within 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Because what if he gets hurt?
Mm-hmm.
I can't then I'm scrambling. Like, so I'm not going to plan on that. So I told him, like, hey, listen, like, if you want to fight for a title, like, you're going to kind of have to not have anything for 45 to 60 days. So that I know you can get hurt in training camp, but like signing him up to fight's different. Like, he can get elbowed, he can get knocked out.
Yeah.
That's stuff that shouldn't happen in training. It can, but it shouldn't. So we kind of have to figure out timing wise when we can make that happen. Do I think he beats Kent? No, I don't. But I'd like to see him try.
Yeah.
There's a handful of guys that I'm sure would try and give Kent a run for their money. The big thing with Kent, I don't think people know he's upped his dedication to the sport. I think too many people used to view him as just like kind of a big scary like brawler boxer, and he's so much more than that. He's a very underrated athlete. He has good hands, but he also has a good fight IQ, and he has intangibles that I don't think he gets enough credit for.
Well, I also kind of want to play devil's advocate. We haven't seen it because we haven't had an opportunity to see it. He finished his last 2 fights in the first round.
Yeah, but one thing, so his second pro fight with us against Sam Sprower, we had a lot of people say, oh man, like Kent didn't look great in that fight. What are you talking about? He didn't look good in that fight. He got a 3rd round finish against a dude with a lot more experience than him. It was only his second pro fight. Sprower had I think that was his 5th. Sprower had fought some tough dudes. Like he didn't have like a super sexy record, but like he wasn't losing to bums either. Like he was a tough dude, and Kent, that dude kept taking Kent down. One of the easiest things to do when you get taken down is just accept that bottom position because it's so much work to get back up. Mm-hmm. And Kent just kept getting up and getting up and working up and working up and working up, and that showed me something that I don't think the Kent Mafaleo that I saw coming up through the amateur ranks, where I never saw him quit, but that type of a push to keep getting back up and get back up, that's when I was like, he's got it now. Like sky's the limit for him. Because he's putting in the work. You can't keep building back up like that without putting in the work. And that's somebody that was mentally strong enough to know that he's been putting in the work and he can keep doing it because he can go all day and he's not going to stop until he gets his hand raised. And that's what he's shown. And quite frankly, there just aren't a lot of heavyweights that have that level of dog in them that Kent has.
What about it was the heavyweight. I think he fights out of Fight City. He fought, I think he was co-main to Kent's last fight. I think it was 23, I believe.
Zeke Latu?
Yes. Is he a heavyweight?
Yeah, Zeke's a heavyweight.
Where is he at?
He's 2-0 now. He's coming. He's coming. Zeke and Kent are friends.
Okay.
They're all Tongan, right?
Yeah.
Same with Ben Moa. You know, Ben and Kent have fought. They fought as amateurs. Kent was the only person Ben didn't knock out as an amateur. I think that was a decision win for Ben. But Ben's retired. He said he's done.
And what a way to go out too.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome.
Ben's the coolest. But you know, Ben was offered the heavyweight title for us if he wanted to come fight for us. It's like, and he's like, no man, it's Kent's time. And so that was cool. But Zeke, you know, Zeke will come into his own. Zeke's coming into his own, and he'll make some noise. I don't really anticipate Zeke and Kent wanting to fight. It would be a huge fight, but I don't think that. I mean, I think they train together a little bit too, right? That's what the thing. Like we had all these big Tongans on that last card, right? And Ben's like, "Hey, I need some sparring rounds," and I was like, "Cool, call Kent or Zeke. Like you big boys go beat each other up. Like don't come talking to me."
Leave me out of this.
I don't want that.
One thing I've always wondered, and this might be far-fetched, it might be a weird question, but will we ever see titles unified? Will we ever see the other promotion's heavyweight versus this promotion's heavyweight and unify those titles or however that works?
I doubt it. There's a lot that goes into unpacking that we, you know, conversation for another time.
Yeah.
But where their promotion is mostly focused on highlighting the amateurs here in Utah, there's not a ton of pro titles that they have in circulation, and where I'm really focused on the pros.
Yeah.
We have the Challenger Series, and so our amateur titles, obviously too. But I mean, would it be cool? Yeah, it'd be cool. But I can't speak for can't speak for them and their desires. I don't think it's something they would be interested in. And in turn, I don't know if I'd totally be interested in it as well. But I'd always be open to talking.
Yeah, I just think it would be cool to be like, no, cool. I am the pound for pound best.
It would be cool, you know but I mean, it would be cool, but at the same time too, it's just, I think we're two different promotions, honestly, that have two different goals.
Yeah.
They're very good at what they do, and the show that they put on is awesome. I loved my time fighting at Steel Fist, and I loved fighting in that venue. You know, it's what they do. They are very, very good at, and they have a good business model. Our goals are just different.
Yeah. What
they want to do and what I want to do, I think it's different. And so doing some sort of co-promotion of unifying titles, I don't think makes a ton of sense.
No doubt. How are you with noises?
We're about to find out.
Hey Alexa, can you show me a new barber?
Don't worry, I got you.
Boogie Down Barbershop in Taylorsville is now open. Anything from gentleman's cuts, taper, fade, or if you want to treat yourself to a nice hot towel shave, Boogie Down Barbershop has you covered. Cuts for men and kids. Book your appointment today at boogiedownbarbershop.com.
What?
What is that noise? So with what's that noise? I'm gonna play a noise. You have to tell me what it is.
Okay.
If you get it right, I'm gonna give you some money.
All right.
We talked about this off camera. You don't have Venmo.
I don't have Venmo. I got kicked off Venmo. People quit trying to Venmo me.
Yeah, okay. So if you win, we'll figure out how to get you the money. Okay. You have a chance to play as well. 385-240-4666 is the number. You can leave a text message anytime, any day, or anywhere. Or you can also call in and leave a voice note. Tell me what you think the guess is. Here's the noise.
One of those knockers on a door hanger.
So like like a door knocker. Okay. Yeah. What do you think? 385-240-4666 is the number. Here's one more time the noise. I can hear that. It's wrong, but
I'm sure it is. I'm just like, just go with your gut, right? First thing you hear, just go with your gut.
That is wrong, but get your guesses in. 385-240-4666 is the number for What's That Noise.
Hey, Dre, would you calm down for a moment and just let me talk? Just at this point, you're just rambling, all right? What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Will Wonder, and I have a podcast called The Will Wonder Pod. I know, super original name, but I promise you'll love it. We talk sports, we talk music, and generally have some really interesting interviews with people that are doing some really cool things. So make sure you check it out wherever you get your podcast. Once again, that is the Will Wonder Pod. All right, Dre, go on about your business, whatever the fuck you were talking about.
I'm a player, man. I'm a pimp, and I don't have to deal with. You got your shirt on backwards, player. Players, fuck up.
P or not P? That is the question.
Let's jump into P or not P. So with P or not P, I'm going to tell you some scenarios, and you have to be like, hey, this is P, or back in our day, it was player. That was a player move, but now the kids are saying push and P.
Okay.
Right? Wearing pajamas to the store.
Not P.
You got to put on at least some jeans, right?
I don't wear jeans. I bought a new pair of jeans for Idaho because all I own is sweatpants and basketball shorts.
Athlete, you?
That's all I own. I'm like, I'm going to show up to the show like a bum. That's what my mom used to always tell me. She's like, go put some clothes on. You look like a bum. So pajamas, though, no, sir. Sweatpants, different. But, like, you got to get some, like, joggers or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you got to put something on. Can't wear PJs like that out in public.
I'll be at Smith's. I'm like, why you got the
what are you doing?
Yeah, it's summer, but you got the Grinch sweatpants on.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah.
Like the little fleece.
Not P.
I have been to a gym, and they come in with the sweatpants, but then they turn into their what if a fighter shows up in pajamas? You telling the fighter anything?
What do you mean, to the fights?
Yeah.
Or to the gym?
It's the Maverick Center. They got a fight. They're opening the card, and they show up in Winnie the Pooh pajamas.
Oh, bro. My boy, Guillermo Rodriguez, he showed up from our gym to fight. I think it was in November on our card. and I think he had some like Nickelodeon pajamas on. He showed up to go. I mean, he changed in the back, right?
Yeah.
He had like a hoodie on that was like I don't know. I can't remember totally, but I just remember thinking, I'm like, out of all the things to wear to your fight, that's what you want to wear, dog. All right.
You just wake up.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, whatever. But yeah, dude. Choo Choo, Thomas Prestridge. He'll wear some funky pajamas to the fights sometimes. It's all good.
Okay. All right. Depending on where, but not to the store. Make sure you put on some sweatpants, shorts, or something.
Come on, dog.
Okay. Walking out to television theme songs. So they say, hey, Dre, what are you walking out to? Walking out to the theme song to Friends.
P.
Okay.
Who cares? Dude, it's their fight. It's their moment. It's literally, man, a walkout song is literally whatever gets you mentally where you want to get.
Yeah.
Nobody else's opinion matters. It's what does that music make you feel like?
Mm-hmm.
That or whatever. That's all that matters. Like, dude, I mean, the corny. Shout out to Andrew Boquette. He walked out for us to Backstreet's Back.
Everybody.
I'm like, you gotta be kidding. I've never. But dude, that place was rocking.
Yep.
And that's what he wanted. Like, great.
You know what? Even when he won, and then I hit his winning music, I was like, "Oh my!" It just hit better because he won, right?
Just boom.
And somebody else who I learned a lot about these guys too. They put me onto new music too, because when Jag came out to his Punjabi music, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome!
Dope.
I like this." All right, next one: sneaking snacks into the movie theater.
Oh yeah, P.
Right.
I allegedly may or may not, but absolutely have done that.
What's your go-to movie snack?
Oh, those like sweet tart ropes.
Oh, okay.
Like me and my kids, like go to the Maverick, get some sweet tart ropes, put them in the hoodie jacket, walk into the movies.
Yep. Kazoozles. I like Kazoozles.
Okay.
And I gotta go with some Ubers. You know what I mean? Some
Uber.
Goobers.
Yeah. Airhead bites.
Yes.
Jackson, shout out Jackson Hoops. Turned my kids on to Airhead bites. That's like one of their favorite things now.
He has a problem with those.
He has a problem.
He has a real problem.
He has, shout out Jackson, but he has a lot of problems, but we're not going to talk about that.
If you didn't hear his episode, he said that you were going to be wrestling and fighting Hasbullah.
Well, next time you see Jackson, we wrestled up in Idaho in the hotel room.
No.
Ask him how that went.
Now, why you go and do that?
We both got roughed up, to be honest.
All right. Okay. Talking to someone on speakerphone in public.
No, P. Like, gosh, if I could have an automatic mute button for the people that do that in life, they'd get muted.
Yeah. Telling us all their business. I'm here. No, I'm doing this. Like, nobody cares, man. Like,
they're doing like their business deals and it's on speaker. It's like, you ain't that important, dude. Nobody cares. I promise.
Try to make themselves look important.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. It's 100% a power play move.
Yeah. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Okay. Buying the person's meal behind you in the line.
Oh, that's cool. That's P. That's cool.
It's a little tricky though.
Yeah.
Because you want to pay it forward, right? So you're in front of me, you bought mine. So I'm like, I'm gonna probably Kent my filet-os.
So yeah, I'll never forget that happened to me. I pull up McDonald's and be like, hey, the person in front of you, they paid for your food. It's like a McDouble, right? So it's like what, like $2.36?
Yeah.
Would you like to do that for the person behind? Yeah. How much was theirs? $42. I'm like, well, I'm like, can't. No, thank you. Bye.
Yeah, it's on your conscience.
Yeah. I look at my rear view and I see about 8 kids in the minivan. I'm like, that's about 8 Happy Meals. They're good. Bye.
Yep. Jeez.
Can I buy one of the Happy Meals for them?
So if you can do it, but hey, sometimes it bites you in the butt.
Yeah.
Okay, this is a kind of a tricky one. Slap fighting.
Gosh.
What's your thoughts on the slap fighting?
I hate it so much. It's not martial arts. I feel probably pretty similar to that I do to bare knuckle boxing. I don't like bare knuckle boxing either. I don't. I think it takes a lot of I think it's bare knuckle boxing. At least it's a tough guy thing, right? I defend Dana White on pretty much everything. This is indefensible to me. This is the first time where it's just like, I think he's just taking a huge L on it.
It's an interesting thing, right? Because I don't see how it's just like a sideshow kind of thing, a freak show.
There's no art to it. Your brain, you can only take so many shots, right? So I have these theories. and I might be way off, and I'm sure some people might message me and be like, hey, I listen to your podcast, you're an idiot, like, don't be a doctor or whatever. But like, there's a thing, like, once you get knocked out, like, you're not the same, right? And like, especially when you get hit on the face. So if people, like, your jaw like shifts over, pinches off your carotid artery, right? Turns your lights out, your brain goes, this isn't good, it shuts off. Once those like muscles are loose and your chin goes, like, it's gone forever. Like, look at Chuck Liddell. He had an iron chin forever until he didn't. And then it was just, he was getting, if you sneezed on him too hard, he was getting slapped.
Yeah.
I worry about that for some of these guys that are potential, you know, they're trying to have fight careers too. It's like, how many fights did you just take off of your career for 2,000 and 2,000? Like, that's it. That's all they're making. I'm like, gosh, like, our main events and high level guys are making more than that. Like, just come fight for Fierce. Like, we'll pay you that.
Yeah.
And just come fight and progress your career. Like, the slaps, I'm out. I don't watch it. I see it pop up on my TikTok, and I might watch it then. But like, I will not tune in.
You know what hurts my heart is when you see who's catching their heads.
And they
Forrest
miss.
Griffin.
Oh,
Did you see that?
yeah, but like, that's like Forrest. Like, dude, he's got a really good gig at the UFC in the Apex and the UFC PI, and he does all that. So I mean, I know he's getting paid to do that, and that's like part of his ambassador role with these athletes. But it's just like, dude, all the progress the UFC's put forward to like progressing the sport and then associating themselves with the power slap thing, I can't get with it, dude. I can't.
I agree. So it's not P. Stop slapping each other.
Stop slapping each other. Unless it's me, I'll slap them. Like, Jay Jackson, standing challenge. You slap anytime.
Oh my gosh, I don't want to see that. Actually, I do. Okay.
Yeah, you do. Anything Jackson does is a show.
Yeah. Leaving your Christmas lights up year round.
Just be. I don't care. I got on the roof once. You're not going to get me on it twice if I don't have to. I hate heights. I hate getting on that roof. I hate putting up Christmas lights. I hate taking them down. If I'm getting up and putting them on, it's on for at least 2 to 3 years.
Yeah. Gotta make sure. And what's the worst is when you put them up and then you realize that the strand's out.
No, you got to check the strand before you go up, because I ain't going back up.
Yeah.
I ain't going back up.
Not shaking your opponent's hand after the fight or after competition.
Depends on how the competition went. There should be a level of respect. Like, if it's a fight, like, I try to always be like the good sport, but at the same time too, it's like sometimes, especially the build up to fights, like sometimes lines are crossed. I think we like the warm and fuzzies and see, like, you know, like the, you know, give some love, give some dap, whatever. But it's like, if they choose not to, like, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. There's a weird balance, right?
I'd like to see them give their respect, right? And even if that's just in the post fight, like, yeah, he was tough, like, appreciate him. You know, I still don't like him, but, you know, as long as it's respect. I don't like to see disrespect after the fight. But if you don't want to be cool with them, even, like, I think that's your prerogative.
I think when it's a close fight too, that can be kind of a tough thing.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I haven't watched it back yet, but I'm in the lane of Volk won that fight.
Okay.
I haven't watched it again, but watching it real time, and I feel like that was the vibe of the bar too. But I could be wrong.
I think there's a good argument to be made that Volk won that fight. Volk's a crazy man. He's the craziest. I actually believe, so people, if you listen to like our banter, especially with Jason, like, I picked Volk.
I did too.
Not because I really thought he was going to win. It's because the value, like, I'm like, there's no way he should be like plus almost 400, right? When you're talking like sports betting odds. That's crazy. Volk's so good. Volk is so good. And he has a different set of different body type, different skill set that I believed was going to be an issue for Islam, and he's faster than Islam, and his training was perfectly built to beat one of those Dagestani Russians and stuff. And now alleged cheating in the rehydration process with Islam. It's like, I think that fight happens again.
It has to, right?
It has to.
And I think soon. I think we get it before the end of the year, don't you?
Probably, because it sounds like Islam wants to move to 170. I think he's done trying to make 155. He looks like crap at 155, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know who beats him at 170.
Islam? Tell me you don't want to see Islam Chimaev at 170.
That'd be nice.
Oh my gosh.
That'd be nice.
That'd be wild. Usman beats Leon Edwards, and then Islam comes up, and Usman versus Islam. That doesn't interest you?
Yes, I want to see the
Shotkat Ramonov.
I want to see Edwards 2 first.
Of course, you see it first, but I'm just saying,
like you said, the chin isn't the same after you get hit that bad, and the lights went out, and
if you do it right, he might not be the same, but like he'll still be fine. Because I don't think the chin went I'm talking like when Chuck Liddell, he went through wars, bro.
Yeah, that's true.
Like he went through wars, and that chin held up through wars and wars and wars. He got hit with one kill shot. He hasn't been through like wars.
Yeah.
Him and Colby went through some. I mean, you do wonder if some of those wars with Colby like helped lead to that. But I don't think I believe necessarily like Usman's chin's gone. Could be, but we don't know till we see it. He could be fine.
Yeah.
He might go beat the brakes off Leon.
I had Usman winning. I did not think Edwards was gonna do what he did, and he was getting his tail whooped.
No, nobody did. But I said it leaving the arena that night at Vivint. I said that one of two things is gonna happen. Is one, Usman is done, right? Like he'll lose in the rematch and probably just fade like T would, or we're gonna end up seeing the best version of Usman we've ever seen. Because quite frankly, I just think he was bored.
Yeah,
he was lapping. He was fighting everybody twice. Like he's talking about going up to 205, skipping 185 and going to 205. He's talking about boxing Canelo. That's not a guy that's engaged all in. That's a guy that's bored.
Well, that's what I seen I figured with John Jones with Gustafsson won. I feel like John Jones was tired and Gustafsson brought it, and I feel like he won that fight.
Yeah, I thought that Gus won that fight.
And then it woke him up.
Yeah.
And then John went on another run.
Yeah.
Let's finish P or no P.
Sorry.
You're good. Okay, putting apples in your spaghetti. This came from a previous guest, Schaefer.
Was it Jackson?
No, it was my man Schaefer.
No P. Get out of here. You got fruit and spaghetti. Get out of here.
He said he puts apples and brown sugar. I said, what do you pair it with? A cinnamon roll?
What is happening here, people? Oh my gosh.
It's Cam Haynes' boy. Yeah.
Okay. He's crazy too.
Yeah, he is. Okay. Last one. Knowing there is a threat to humanity, but not telling the people.
Like their government?
Yeah, man. You see all these UFO?
Oh, that's no P. I don't trust our government though.
Would you want to know if there was a threat to humanity? Would you want to know?
Yeah.
What does that do though?
I don't know.
As a father, if there is some other force out there that can do whatever it wants at any time.
Are we going to die no matter what?
Yeah, man. What do you do?
I mean, let's put this into like perspective a little bit. We could all die at any given moment without even knowing.
Very true.
So does it really change that much?
I think it changes the urgency because people get crazy, right? You've seen what happened with the pandemic. All the toilet paper was gone. Eggs were gone. Water's gone, right? So I feel like if you tell the people, hey, you guys got 90 days and then there's an alien invasion, I think things are going to be a lot different.
If you know a date that something intimate is coming, maybe don't give everybody a heads up. But if you're just saying, hey, like there's another life force out there that could come wipe us out. Are they going to? Well, we don't know. Okay, then just let us know. It's cool.
What does that do though?
Whatever.
I think that ruins all law, right? Right now, only thing keeping this thing moving is law, right? Only reason nobody's breaking in that door right now and wanting to take all my stuff is because there's law. You ain't supposed to do that.
Man, nobody pays attention to that stuff though. Like, who's gonna get caught? Like, you know what I mean? Like, people ignore those laws and rules all the time.
Yeah, but it'll be the purge. I have a feeling.
Be the purge? I mean, it could get a little funky, but I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. Yeah, I want to know. Yeah, I want to know. If I'm going out, I'm racking up those credit cards and we going out in style, baby.
Oh man, I wouldn't even use the credit card. I'll just go get it.
Yeah, sure.
What do you want? Oh, you want Chick-fil-A? All right, well, get us some chicken sandwiches.
Yeah. Give me some waffle fries, baby.
All right, let's jump into the yearbook.
Hey, yo, you're probably listening to the Unrestricted Podcast with DreRawka.
We are?
No, they are.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Oh, wow.
And I'm the real Ruby. You can catch me and Fonzie and the
Funk.
G Daddy Funk on Lake Talk 801 Podcast.
Yeah, but I think you have to come in more smoother, more funnier. Like, yeah, they could catch us on the Lake Talk 801 podcast.
Yeah, y'all can catch us on Lake Talk 801.
Yeah, and be like, and yeah, man, hey, and they could catch people like me, the real Ruby, and people like you, Fonzie, and people like him, G Daddy Funk,
Wow,
on
that's
the
a
Lake
lot of
Talk
people.
801. Who cares?
What did he say?
Huh?
I didn't hear him.
I don't know, but this probably should be the ad.
Are these on?
Catch a new episode every Monday on all streaming platforms. The Lake Talk 801. Tune in now.
And all the kids are treating me very nice. It's great.
Gee, I can't wait till I go to hikes. Well,
Don't you say that. Don't you ever say that.
Okay, with the yearbook, just like you did back in the day, you go to the back of the book, you read most likely to or best whatever.
Okay.
I'm going to give you those scenarios and you have to fill in the blank. It could be people we know, it could be a celebrity, it could be somebody deceased. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. Most likely to become a chef.
George Bushman.
Hey, he has good salsa.
Yeah, baby.
Okay, I like that. Best personality.
Jackson Hubs.
He is an act, man.
Dude.
He's a class act.
Yeah.
Most likely to go viral.
Most likely to go. Dude, that would also be Jackson. No, I'll go Sajan. Sajan Chapney's our head of marketing at Fierce.
What would he go viral for?
So he's one of the most talented people I've ever met. And he does so much with like rock climbing and like he does all these stunt bikes and he powered up with a battery power like a little kid's tricycle and like does like donuts and stuff with it. Like
what?
Dude, I'll show you his TikTok later. He doesn't do much on it, but when he posts stuff, like it's awesome. Like he could for sure go viral. He's so creative. He turned a bus into a mobile motorhome and he built it all himself.
What?
And they went and lived in it. Him and his wife and his daughter went and lived in it for like months.
That's awesome.
He's awesome. Like he'd go viral for something for sure.
Now we just need to wrap it with Fierce Fighting Championship and drive it around the city.
There you go.
Okay. Best teammate to roll with.
Cole Faust.
Of course, you heard the name. Remember the name. Most likely to start a podcast.
Blake O'Rulian.
Best dressed.
I'll go with Jason Laporte because he always has a fresh new pair of J's for the fights.
Always, man. Always got the nice sneakers.
Always. Jealous.
All right. Most impactful.
Cody Bunderson.
Who's that?
The owner of Fierce.
Oh, okay. Most likely to open a restaurant. No recycles either.
Most likely to open a restaurant. Man, I don't know. My Uncle Mike. Mike from Vegas.
What does Mike cook? What is he?
I don't know, but he used to be a waiter when he lived in Hawaii. And I don't know. Like, he owns a trucking business right now. For some reason, I could just see him just like switch and get back into the restaurant business.
I did.
Maybe he has no desire to do it, but I don't know. It's the only thing I think of.
He's going to watch us and be like, you know what?
He's like, I'm going to start a restaurant.
Yeah. I'm going to open up my food
Or
truck.
Just come over and be like, you're an idiot. So,
Most likely to have a street named after them.
my wife. She's a saint.
That's awesome. Most likely to be seen on reality television.
Oh, my friend Josh Roberts. I know he tried out for Survivor.
What?
That's my guy.
So you think he would be on like a Survivor type show?
Yeah. He'd be that guy like orchestrating, like manipulating people and like getting
Mind games.
allies and yeah. Oh yeah.
Back in the day, I used to love the challenge, the Road Rules versus Real World, MTV.
Yeah.
I was like, I could do that. And then I seen some of the challenges. I was like, no, I couldn't.
No, I'm out.
All right, last one. Most likely to pull a prank.
That would be me, sir.
Yeah, you're a jokester.
My favorite thing. So me and Jackson, we were insurance agents together, and my favorite thing about being in an office is like I just can't help it. It's like I'm bored. Like I'm gonna go take somebody's USB out of their computer so their mouse don't work, and go hide it somewhere. Like it was constantly doing stuff like that.
You ever put the tape on the mouse?
Oh yeah, black. I literally had black electrical tape just to do that.
It's great. Or the fart spray.
Never had any fart spray. Blow horns, those are great. Saran wrap on the toilet paper bowl.
Yep. Just a good rah.
Yeah. Just if I know that you're jumpy, yeah, it's gonna be a long one.
Are you sick of podcasts that just interview people with the same questions and gossiping nonsense?
Are you tired of hearing about what's wrong with the world? Can you locate your nearest orphanage?
Who cooked the Last Supper?
R.I.P. Mr. Potato Head.
Seppuku Harakiri.
Where is Mavis Beacon?
This is Hos.
And this is Host Beefy.
Listen to the Beans and Rice podcast.
Exclusively in Braille and all streaming platforms.
Patent pending.
So typically we do a music festival, but because you're the matchmaker, because you have such a good IQ when it comes to setting up these matches, putting on these fights, I said, hey, how about we do a 5-fight fight card? We'll go tit for tat. So we need a location.
Send me location.
And it could be anywhere in the world. Where are we going to have this?
Neutral, baby. Fight Island.
Okay. Is that Dubai? What is that? Abu Dhabi?
Abu Dhabi.
Fight Island. Okay.
It just sounds cool. It's like Mortal Kombat, baby.
I was always wondering if they were going to fight out on that beach because they always had
that cage
right on the beach. I thought they were going to do it.
But I heard it's like 112 degrees out there.
Yeah.
It's too hot.
Not only that, but the wind, sea water.
Fighters like, I can't see something.
Exactly. Sand in my eye. Seagull poops on them. Okay, so we're at Fight Island. What are we going to call this event?
It'd just be like, what's Mortal Kombat, dude? Like, I mean, it's the final, I don't know. Dude, the finale.
The finale. Knuckle up finale. The finale. I like that. Okay. We're going to have, this is the main card. So we're going to have 5 fights on this main card. Who is the first fighter to set this thing off?
So I get to pick anything, right?
Yep, you pick one and I'll pick who's going. Or yeah, so you pick first and then second fight I'll go first.
Okay, so you want me to do the whole matchup?
No. So the first fight, you pick one, I'll pick one. And then fight 2, I'll pick one and then you pick one.
Oh.
Any weight class, there's no weight classes. It could be a fictional fighter from a movie.
Oh.
This is fun. It's fictional.
So we're matching against each other.
Yes. Fight 1. You pick the first fighter.
I'm taking Tony Ferguson when he was El Kukui in the middle of his 13-fight win streak, and he was the boogeyman of that division.
Well, if you're going El Kukui, I got to go Stockton Slap. I got to go Nate Diaz.
But Nate just beat him.
Yeah, but in the prime.
Oh, okay.
It's the fight we always wanted.
Yeah, I mean, it would have been nasty if if we'd have seen that fight that we just saw. If we would have seen it like 5 years ago, that would have been sick.
All right, fight 2. All right, so it's my pick now.
Yeah.
Fight 2. Gotta go. My top 5 of all time. I love this woman. She's fighting. What was it? The 4th? Valentina Shevchenko.
Oh. Valentina. Does it have to be a female fighter to fight her?
It does not. But if you go Francis Ngannou, I'm going to hate you.
I was going to say, dude, skill for skill. Because I think she's the most complete women's mixed martial artist we've ever seen. And I think the person that's the most complete men's mixed martial artist we've ever seen is Mighty Mouse. Demetrius Johnson.
I like it.
If you're going skill for skill wise in there, dude, they're actually probably the same size.
I was gonna say same weight.
25. I kind of like this.
I do too. At first, I thought you were gonna say Amanda Nunes again.
No, we've seen that twice. I still think Valentina's pound for pound better than Amanda, but we can talk about that another time.
Mighty Mouse, I like that. A dude that got beat. He looked like Mighty Mouse for a minute.
Yeah,
forget his name.
Kyle Brown.
Yeah, I was like, oh, look at him.
I will say this: you messed up. I gave you Tony Ferguson. You didn't give us Khabib. Finally wanted to see that fight.
I should have,
but it's okay. It's okay.
All right, fight 3. You're up.
Fight 3. I'm gonna go. All right, I'm gonna pick the guy that got me into the sport, Conor McGregor.
Okay.
Fight. And now, if you say Francis, I'm gonna kill you.
Okay, so Conor comes up. I'm thinking somebody that we've seen him fight Poirier. We've seen. I'm trying to think of something that we haven't seen. Okay. Oh, God rest the dead. Let's go to Anthony Rumble Johnson.
That's messed up. Rumble puts him in the freaking stratosphere. Dude.
Yeah, Rumble knocks his head off.
Bro, I love Rumble. And that was so sad because I'm one of those guys too. Like, I play UFC 4. Me and my kid play UFC 4 all the time. And everybody wants to be like the heavyweights. And dude, I'll be Rumble and just starching people on there, dude.
Yep.
Just a little different now, but yeah.
It's sad too. And he was just such a good dude. I mean, everybody wanted him to talk bad about John. You know what I mean? What he said.
Do you remember what him and John did to Dana? They acted up and they went.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that was so good.
That was right after, wasn't that right after John and DC got into it?
Yeah.
So it was high tension.
Dana's like, whoa. He's like, and then they got it. It's so good.
That's awesome. Watch, I can't wait for a fighter to do that to you.
Hey, I'm gonna have.
It's gonna be Kent Mafaleo and somebody else.
I will blast double leg everybody but Ken. Ken can do whatever he wants. What am I gonna do to Ken?
All right, so we're at our co-main event now. You went first last time, so I'll go first this time. Let's go with Rampage Jackson.
Quentin Rampage Jackson.
In his prime. All these people on their prime, right?
So that's like pride. Rampage. I'm gonna go heavyweight or 205.
It don't matter.
Cain Velasquez.
Oh, Cain. I like that.
My all-time Cain at his peak is my all-time heavyweight GOAT. I think the guy when Cain was at his top before his neck surgery and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Cain is the greatest heavyweight I think we've ever seen. Pete Cain is the greatest heavyweight we've ever seen, I believe.
Who do you like? Give me a top 5 maybe. Maybe 5 heavyweights that you think are
Fedor,
okay.
Cain, Stipe. Stipe's resume is ridiculous. Verdum. You kind of gotta put Francis right there now, I think.
Okay.
But Cain, Fedor, or 1A, 1B, you can interchange those. I think Verdum's right there. Stipe for how many title defenses he had, longest reigning UFC champ. I might be missing somebody. I probably am, but that's kind of what comes to my mind right now.
I instantly think of DC. Obviously, light heavyweight was a little bit more, but Strike Force, right? The way he did the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I always liked. I had a
picked up Josh Barnett and dumped him. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. DC was always that guy. DC for me is kind of like Kobe and Michael Jordan. I didn't like them because he wasn't on my team. I'm a John Jones guy, right?
Oh.
You know, and so. But I love DC. I mean, look at what. Yeah, I mean,
you're a John Jones guy.
Yeah.
Hey, we need a new DJ at Fierce Fighting Championship.
Send me your resume.
I'm just teasing.
I'm a John Jones guy. I am a Valentina.
I love Valentina.
Connor. Obviously Rumble. God bless the dead. And you know, Mighty Mouse.
Oh, Mighty Mouse is sick.
Like those are my top 5.
Anderson, GSP.
Yeah, of course, the legends.
But yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
So we're at our main event now. The lights are down. It's Fight Island. It's the finale. Fireworks went off. Pyrotechnics. Joe Rogan. Everybody's hype.
John Jones.
Okay, so you're wrong with John Jones, the guy that you just
I mean, resume wise, nobody has a better resume than him. Nobody.
And there's only one. I mean, obviously, his one blemish was the elbow, but I guess the other blemish would be, I would say not Ferguson, but Gustafsson. That Gustafsson won.
I think he lost the Thiago Santos fight too. When he fought Thiago Santos.
When he broke everything in his leg. No way, bro.
He tore his ACL and Thiago was still coming after him and trying to walk him down and take his head off. Yeah, I think Thiago won that fight.
I really like Thiago too.
It's been bummed out. You know what's been wild is Dominic Reyes and Thiago Santos have never been the same since they fought him and lost to him.
Yeah.
Anthony Smith really hasn't been the same either.
Gustafsson wasn't either.
Gus wasn't. But no, I think people say that they thought Dominic Reyes won that fight. I actually thought that John won that fight because Dominic started to fight not to lose instead of to win. But Thiago was a savage in that fight and continually tried to walk him down and take his head off. And I think Thiago won that fight. I really do.
Okay. John Jones. I'm going to say this. We can go many ways with this, right?
There's only one right answer.
Oh, don't put that on me. Don't put that on me. Obviously, we would want to see Francis Ngannou.
Yeah.
I would like to see that. I would like to see maybe a DC3. That would have been nice. But how cool would it have been if we would have seen a prime in his prime? He would probably get his butt whooped. But Iceman.
You know who the prime one is?
Who?
John and Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been, because they're both they're both masters of range, right? And they're both so creative, and that's like if you could have made a fight at 205 with Anderson and John, would have been pretty wild.
Yeah. Izzy too. I can't believe we didn't even put Izzy on there. Izzy's fun to watch.
I'm not a huge Izzy fan.
Why?
Just not.
He's fun.
There's something about him that just doesn't compute with me. He's a fantastic fighter. I'm the type of guy too. I'll defend the fighters when people are like, "Oh, he was boring because he fought safe." No, he makes you fight him. Like if you walk him down, you have to come beat him like Pereira did.
Yeah.
He makes you do that because if you don't, he will absolutely pick you apart.
I mean, he did land that one shot that almost dropped him.
Oh, he dropped Pereira.
Did he fall to his knees?
Yeah, he kind of like.
I know he gave a little bit.
But yeah. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Izzy's skills and his ability. I feel like sometimes he tries to be the showman too much.
Yeah,
and it's just like that's what I loved about Conor. It was so authentic.
It's just him.
But when he did like the Khabib stuff, you could feel that it wasn't authentic anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And it changed
because he was scared. He knew what was up.
And exactly.
I don't know if he's scared, but
you can feel it. There's something that was totally different about Conor when he was like the Jose Aldo thing or Eddie Alvarez and coming up and what he's been. There's something with Izzy that just doesn't totally sit like 100% authentic with me. Like I feel like sometimes he tries too much to be the guy that and he's talked about it. He suffers from depression, some social anxiety. So I'm like, if you suffer from depression and social anxiety, I don't really think you always do want the spotlight on you like you portray that you do, that you're comfortable. I don't think that he is super comfortable with it, but I think he performs really well under it.
Do you think he keeps in mind that he has been knocked out by Pereira?
Oh, for sure. For sure. It's in the back of his head.
I know if I was a fighter, I'd be always thinking, man, this dude did catch me one time.
Now he's cut him twice.
Yeah. Do you think this third one shuts it up? Like, or do you think we'll see?
I just think there's some people that I think it's hard to say. My coach Aldo, he's like convinced that Pereira will beat him again, and it's just sometimes like sometimes you're better than somebody, but there's something stylistically about him you can't figure out, right?
Yeah.
And I look at some people and I'm like, yeah, I get the better of them in training sometimes, but I'm like, but if we fought, like I'd have problems with them. Like there's just something about some people that you just know that they have your number. Pereira might just have Izzy's number. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Izzy's great. And it doesn't really, I don't think it takes away from his greatness.
How do you see this John Jones debut at heavyweight with Gon going?
If Francis can out wrestle Cyril Gane, I think that John absolutely can. I think so. John is used to being more athletic and stuff, and this is the first time he'll be in the cage with somebody that's probably dang near as good of an athlete. The way that Gane moves is incredible, especially at his weight. But vice versa, I think this is the first time Gane's ever fought somebody like John, and that's terrifying. Yeah. Francis is not like John. Francis is, you got to watch out for that one shot that'll put your lights out.
Yeah.
And stuff. But John's going to be able to touch Gane in a way that he hasn't really been touched often before. Tai Tuivasa sat him down. But other than that, he pretty much just picked him apart. He just needed to watch out for that one big shot. I think John mops him, to be honestly.
I think something freaky's gonna happen. I think Gane's gonna break his leg.
Don't say that.
I think John Jones is gonna break a leg.
Don't say that.
I'm just playing.
It's
not gonna happen. No, because everything got thicker up top, but he still don't got the
chicken legs.
Yeah,
he's always had chicken legs though.
Yeah, that's true.
You ever see like Tito Ortiz?
Yep.
Just jacked with chicken legs.
Yep. And
on The Ultimate Fighter, one of the fighters was making fun of him. He's like, "Look at Tito and his chicken legs," and he goes, "That's how I make 205."
Yeah, I think it's a end by a knee. I think John's gonna put him out with a knee, clinch, knee over, probably within the second round.
You think second round?
Yeah, there's gonna be some distance. He's gonna try to distance, and then I have a feeling there's gonna be a clinch, knee, done.
There's one of two ways that it comes out. Either John turns into the MFer that just finishes everybody and just is a freak, and that John is revitalized, and I kind of think that that's gonna happen. Either that or he loses and we realize that, this is, you want to know what I don't like about John Jones?
Cocaine?
He robbed us probably about 5 to 6 years because of his choices and decision making of probably seeing at least 12 more fights. I mean, he could be like 40-0 basically at this point.
Yeah, man.
And he just, for whatever reason, just couldn't get out of his own way. He can blame Dana and money and stuff, but you know what? He earned not getting paid like that. He's not a huge seller, which is wild. But it's because people don't have confidence in him. Because he sits there and says stupid stuff like telling DC that he did cocaine a week before he fought him. Yeah, it's a cool line and it's a gotcha, but it also makes people go like, you don't take this seriously, bro.
Yeah.
And look how great he was not taking it seriously. And then you go, what if he took it serious? What if he is dedicated as a name the champion that's ultimately dedicated? Khabib or DC or whatever. With those God-given abilities, dude, he could have been 50-0 and the most untouchable record and resume in MMA history. And he blew it.
And American too.
And American.
Right? It's
America.
It's kind of, the Americans
could have been our guy.
We're kind of losing right now.
Are we?
We get a heavyweight. Who's the heavyweight champion right now?
It's vacant.
Before then, it was Francis, Africa.
Jamal Hill, baby.
Oh yeah, that's right. Now,
Jamal Hill.
I'm coming. That's what she said.
That's what she said. I love Jamal Hill, dog.
He's awesome.
He's so good on Rogan.
Yeah, it took him a minute to warm up, but
dude,
he got there.
Jamal Hill, bro. I love Jamal. I've liked him for a long time.
Yeah.
Great power.
I didn't like his chest tattoo. That's kind of what put me off.
Really?
Yeah, the little thumbs.
I've never seen it. I've never noticed
He has the gloves with the thumbs. You haven't seen that?
No, I haven't noticed it. Who cares? Dude, he's funny. Man, he can fight and he can crack.
Yeah.
What's 185? Perez, Brazil.
Yeah.
Leon. Okay.
Makachev.
Islam. Volk.
Australian. Oh, yeah.
Who's the 135 right now?
Moreno.
No. 135 says Sterling. Aljo.
Oh, yeah, Sterling, yeah.
So we got Aljo.
Well, that's Aljo.
We got Aljo.
And then Moreno's
sick.
I love him, man. I love his attitude. I love everything about that guy.
I've loved him since The Ultimate Fighter. If you've listened to our podcast, I picked him. I've picked him every time since forever. Like I love love Brandon Moreno.
Well, that sounds. I think we need to take your advice and follow this new guy out of your gym. What's his name again?
Cole Faust.
Cole Faust.
No, people just don't understand. Like, he's been training since he was 5.
He's a young guy then.
Yeah, he's 21.
Oh, he's a man. This is in his DNA.
He was built for this. People don't understand with Cole. Like, he was built for this. And when I say he was built, he's put in the work.
Did he have braids? Yeah. Okay, yeah, I seen. I think you posted him.
Oh yeah.
When he won his title.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
How was he?
Cole's only loss as an amateur was to a grown man who was a wrestler that held him on a cage for 5 rounds. Pretty much did 0 damage. Just basically won on just being able to hold him on a cage.
Mm.
And Cole was in our corner at one point, and he was holding him on the cage, and he says, "Come on, let's fight." And the guy goes, "Nah, I'm good." True story.
Man, if he's a talker, I would love to have him on the pod.
Cole is not a talker.
Nah, see, that's why I'm fine. These guys, man, you guys gotta talk, man.
Cole, he does his talking in the cage, but I mean, again, that's what I love about him is he's just authentic and he's as real as it gets with the people that he's with. And,
yeah.
He does his talking. He's an absolutely fantastic fighter, and he'll be on big shows real soon.
Man, you know what sounds really good? Just some chips and salsa.
You want the best salsa ever? Get yourself some Sauce Up Salsa at sauceupsalsa.com. Fresh fire roasted salsa, fresh ingredients, fresh produce made just for you.
That's exciting, man. I'm excited to see where Utah MMA evolves to. You have a big chapter in this book in Utah history right now. I know that probably doesn't mean anything to you, but you do have that. You are doing it. The Fierce Fighting Championship camp is doing it. I can't wait to see you back in the cage. Hopefully, are you gonna do any jiu-jitsu tournaments or anything like that?
I did one. I need to do some more. There's one in April that I have my eye on. It's potentially hanging out there, but we'll see.
Okay.
I like jiu-jitsu tournaments. They're fun.
Yeah, I learned something. George taught me that there's difference between because when Samson started slapping homeboy in the face,
that combat jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I was
Isn't
like,
that sick?
That ain't legal. I saying that I've never seen it before.
Combat jiu-jitsu. Yeah, the crowd that was kind of tough. Like I'd like to do that again, and we figure out like put the rules up on the screen or something so that the crowd knows what they're watching.
Yeah.
Because I think people just saw that and they're like, "Oh, these guys are grappling." It's like, whoa, he's smacking him in the face,
and not like a slap. Bam!
Power slap.
Bam!
Dana White's like, sign him.
When's he gonna get back in the cage?
I don't know, man. I don't know. He's got to get healed up. He's got some stuff going on. I talked to him up in Idaho. I'm like, dude, we didn't get you, but we'll see.
Ever since he fought Bobby King, I was like, yeah, I'm a fan, man. That was a good fight.
That was a great fight.
And he had his number until he didn't. Just that's the thing about fighting, man.
Yeah, it's such an unforgiving sport, but it is the purest form of combat and the purest form of competition on the planet.
What's going on with Bobby King? Is he fighting?
Bellator.
He's signed to Bellator.
Yeah.
Do we know when he's gonna fight again? Because I know he had a fight there. He only fought there once, right? I believe I seen one. But that's the thing that I love to see is that these guys like him, Court McGee just signed another fight with the UFC. That's gonna be really cool. Hopefully he gets that fight. He will get that win.
Stylistically, that's a good matchup for Court, I think. I just heard somebody say they're like, yeah, I think he loses. I'm like, Matt Brown's like, that's a good fight for him. Yeah, Bobby is fighting April 22nd.
Oh, right after us.
Bellator 295 against Alon Cruz. That'd be a good fight. Alon Cruz. Oh, I know that name. Where do I know that name from? Dana White Contender Series.
That'll be a good win for him.
Coming out of the UFC. Yeah, that'd be good.
Nice, brother. Well, what do you got to plug? Where can we follow? Websites, all that good stuff.
Go check up at fiercefightingchampionship.com. Got a lot of cool stuff on there. The team's been working really hard to get our fight library on there. I'm not that interesting. I don't post that much, but follow us at Fierce Fighting Championship. If you want to, I'm at Ridge79. That's part of my last name, RIDGE79. Like I said, I don't post a ton on there that's not fighting or whatever, but
you need to get back on TikTok. I loved your TikTok rants.
Man.
This man say he's broke. This.
You can follow me on TikTok. I mean, we'll see if I get angry again and decide to start just going at random stupid people. But It's not good for my cholesterol and my heart. Like, it's just, I get too worked up. Stupid people get me too worked up.
That's hilarious. Cool. Well, I appreciate your time, brother. It was always good to talk MMA with you and knowing where our guys are at and who to watch for. Watch for the guy Cole, right?
Yeah, that's my guy. We have a lot of studs coming up through Fierce though too, and there's too many to number. I mean, go on Fierce and go watch the past cards and see who you like.
Yeah.
Message me if you want to see somebody fight. Anybody got good ideas of who you want to see fight? Like, message me. Let me know. That helps me know what the fans want to see, and I want to give the fans what they want.
Absolutely. Make sure you follow on Instagram at DreRawka, DreRawka. Again, if you want to win money for What's That Noise, 385-240-4666 is the number. Allrock.com. New merch is up right now, so make sure you go and support. Yeah. Thank you, brother, for coming.
Thank you.
It's been another episode of Unrestricted. Protect your light. We out. Peace.